Good afternoon, everyone. So welcome to the September 18th Economic Development Meeting. We're going to read the streaming notice. So this meeting is being streamed live on the Township of Ramara YouTube channel. Be advised that by attending a public meeting of the Economic Development Committee, you are consenting to your image, voice, and comments being recorded and will form part of the recording. The chair and/or secretary have the discretion and authority to terminate or interrupt the live streaming in exceptional circumstances where the content of the debate is considered inappropriate to be published. Attendees are advised that they may be subject to legal action if their actions result in inappropriate behaviors or comments. So from here, we're going to go, before we go into the adoption of the agenda, because we don't have either our chair or vice chair here today, I'm going to be putting in a motion on the floor, and that is the appointment of a chairperson for the Economic Development September 18th meeting. Who would like to be that chairperson? And you just have to use that mic. So Bert has put up his name, and so the motion that will have a first and seconder. Actually, before we put the motion up, who's going to be the first and seconder? So that'd be Jen Fisher and Tim. And so the motion will be that we appoint Bert Harrington as chair for the Economic Development September 18th meeting. All in favor? Perfect. And now I'm going to move that to yourself. And that is now we're on item number 2, adoption of agenda.
Okay. The first item on the agenda is item 2.1 for Ramara Economic Development Committee agenda dated September 18th, 2024. I read the recommendation.
So who wants to put that on the floor?
I'll move that.
Who wants to second it? Oh, Keith. Perfect. And then all in favor? That is passed. So then we get into the adoption of the minutes, which is item 3. So you can just go ahead and read that recommendation if you would like, and then move second. And then if there is anything, then.
Okay. Item number 3, the recommendation is that we adopt the Ramara Economic Development Committee meeting minutes dated July 4th, 2024 as presented.
I'll move it.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The mover was Tim, was it? And the seconder was Jim. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes for that date, or are we all in favor? Item 3.2. It's the okay, it's the adoption of the minutes that we adopt the Ramara Economic Development Committee meetings minutes for January 18th, 2024. So anybody who wants to put that on the table? Jen, seconder. Tim, any questions on the minutes?
I just want to, so there we did approve these back in April, but they're as amended because the only thing that was not, it was in the back end, but wasn't in the public end was actually the chair and the vice chair. So it was there, but the actual names weren't present. So I just wanted to make sure that it was very clear. So that's why I put it right back on the agenda for us to approve again today, just so that way it was clear that the committee approved for the chair to be Sean Dutton, and then the vice chair was Roger Selman. So that's why it's on the committee here today.
Okay. Questions? Okay, everybody vote to adopt. Okay, item 4.1 on the agenda is economic development meeting dates. Okay, so that the committee approves the memo regarding 2024 and 2025 economic development meeting dates as presented. And there's the active schedule. Do you put that up or is it? Sorry. Oh, yes. Who wants to put that on the floor for discussion? Jen, second. And Tim, Jim and Tim. So. Yes, okay, discussion.
Thank you. I'm looking at the times and dates, and I know today we have a noon meeting. I find it very challenging. I know later in the day, so I didn't know if there was room in the committee to consider having an earlier in the day at 9:30. Same on a rotating schedule, so it's always the same whatever day of the week of the month. I think noon's a challenging time. And I know later's a challenging time for some of our members to attend. So I didn't know if there's other times that we could suggest or talk about. And with us keeping in consideration staff time and availability of rooms and spaces in the building.
Thank you. I just wanted to note that the County of Simcoe Economic Development Office holds a regional economic development network meetings the last Thursday of every other month. And so if we were to move this meeting earlier, it would conflict with that meeting. So a representative from the Economic Development Office wouldn't be able to come. If we were to change it to a different day of the week in the morning, that's perfectly fine as well.
So in January, the committee approved to meet on the fourth Thursday of every other month at that noon time. So that was a pass. So if we want to change that, we'll have to rescind that motion that we passed in January and choose an alternative date. So whether we choose to change the time, but it's on the opposite month of when the County of Simcoe holds their economic development meetings, so that's an option. So it could be Thursday mornings on the fourth Thursday at 9:30 a.m., but on the opposite month of when the county holds theirs. So instead of November, we would meet here in maybe December, and then February, April, so on and so forth. So that could be also something for consideration if Thursdays work for everyone, but it's just maybe a time issue.
Do you meet every Thursday or every month, or is it every other month?
It's every other month. So that would work. I can note that on the November 28th at 12 p.m. would work, but moving it to 2025, if we wanted to do earlier, wouldn't be able to work. But that would work for the county for sure if we were able to switch those odd months.
I'd be able those times. Anything before 11 or 12 to 9:30, any day of the week, I'm good.
Deputy Mayor Bell, does that Thursday at that time work for you
Which
in the
week?
mornings? It'd be
Which
Thursday,
week was that?
it'd be on the fourth Thursday. So it would be at basically almost like the last Thursday of every month in the morning.
Yeah, that should work. I think Lagoon City, it's first
Is
or
the
second
second,
week.
yeah, is the
Yes,
second week.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
So what I'll do is I'm going to revise the schedule and we'll post it for the next meeting, which will be the November. So I'll just change the November time from noon to 9:30 because I think that still aligns. Okay. No, it does not align. Okay. So what we'll have to do is we'll change the date to
If I may, for our November meeting, maybe we can keep it at the same time and then start the new schedule for January.
Perfect. Yep. And I can put that in that time for November, what the revised schedule would look like based on our motion today.
Excellent. And I think I'm the one that moved that, so I'm okay with that revision of motion. If the seconder is.
A second.
For a second. Okay, so the Jen was and seconded by Tim. All in favor? Okay, item 4.2 is the budgets to actuals report. And the motion is that that the budget to actuals to October 31st, 2024. August 31st, 24 be received as information. Who wants to put that on the floor? Tim. Second it. Oh, I'm sorry. Seconded by Keith. All in favor? Okay, item that's all we need to do there. Okay, item 4.3, the topic is St. Andrews Hall artwork initiative. This sounds interesting. And that the committee approve the memo regarding St. Andrews Artwork Initiative as presented. And that we recommend council approve the St. Andrews Artwork Initiative at a cost of $10,000 for the 2025 budget. Who wants to put that on the floor? Keith? And seconded by Jen. All in favor? Oh, questions first.
So I can provide a little bit of a follow-up from this. So from our last meeting, Roger advised us that the Bracken and Beyond committee was receiving photos from their photo contest. And so that contest just closed, I believe it was a week or two ago. So he's just receiving some of those photos now to maybe be used for this initiative. So providing that information, we would have to look at those photos on the quality of them and maybe having to do some extra staff time and making sure they're ready to go on to St. Andrews Hall.
Yes, Jen.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, Roger did indicate that that was something he was going to be asking for, and that was included in the rules for that photo contest. It does say in the memo that you were looking at the township having photo contests should they not be of high enough resolution to work. I'm wondering if maybe we should just be putting a recommendation to council to give that direction to staff to start that too, because our residents are gonna need time to go out and collect these photos. And I think if we're just waiting and waiting and waiting for getting enough high quality photos, that perhaps maybe we should just hold a photo contest now, and then we have a number of photos to choose from. A number of different scenes throughout the different communities and areas within the municipality. And when that's created, indicate that we are looking for that high resolution. And this, the possibility of having your artwork displayed on one of the buildings is huge incentive to get some really nice work done. So I don't know if we should just go ahead and have a second photo contest.
Yeah, it's up to the committee. I just put that as another idea just because we hadn't seen the photos, so we don't know. And maybe when they were submitting them, they didn't really know that resolution size because those windows are quite large. And so that's why we really did want to make sure that people were aware, or the committee was aware of how large it is. Because when you're taking a very small photo and trying to enlarge it to that size, you need a very large pixel size in order for that to look good.
So that it's a must that you have to have the higher resolution. So that's
We do have the ability to upscale photos, and that's kind of what we did with the historical photos that we had. At the time when we wrote the memo, we didn't know where Breck and Beyond was with those photos, how many they received, what they looked like. We didn't know what the appetite was for the committee to move forward, whether we'll be using those photos. We wanted to do it our own photo contest. So that's why we just wanted to provide that idea.
yes.
Has Roger indicated through the committee of when those photos will be able to be sent to the township to take a look at?
No.
So what do we wait till we get the photos?
So the question could be that part of the photo contest, having a photo contest versus not having a photo contest could wait till 2025 if the committee wants to put that into the 2025 budget. So if you would like to add that to the budget for 2025 is adding these photos to St. Andrews Hall, whether we're using the Breck and Beyond or not, we can approve that part of it. And then we can, in either our November meeting or maybe in the new year, based on the photos that we received, we can make those decisions.
That sound like a plan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just concerned
Yeah.
with time
Yep.
because I know it did take a little bit of a lot of time for staff efforts to get the resolution up for the photos that we were able to collect for the bank building. So I was just putting that into consideration, but Ashley's right. We do need to put this, for me anyways, I think she's right that this needs to go into the budget, that we should vote on this as is. And then
Okay,
come November, hopefully we'll have an answer to determine what the next steps are for collecting photos.
okay. So do we have the motion?
Yep, the motion's there and there's nothing really of a change. Really, it's just receiving that memo as information and that the $10,000 would go on the 2025 budget. So nothing will be changing from your motion. So it would just be for the committee to all approve.
Okay. So who wants to? Sorry? Oh, we already did that. Okay, all in favor? Okay, 4 you ready for 4.4? The County of Simcoe Employment Survey Pilot Project. And the motion is that the committee approve the memo regarding the County of Simcoe Employment Service Pilot Project as presented, and that we recommend council approve the County of Simcoe Employment Survey Pilot Project at a cost of $25,000 to the 2025 budget. Who wants to put that on the floor? Okay, Keith, and second, Tim. Okay,
Questions? So I did put some of the background information on there. We talked about this a little bit in July in regard to the County of Simcoe's, the project that they're implementing as we speak. And at the time, the pilot project, and Nicole, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's a 2-year pilot project at this time where they're going to different municipalities with certain types of employment. So whether they're looking at, let's say, industrial first or commercial first, they're designating a certain type to begin with. And so what the thoughts were here is, with the demand on the county, with the limited individuals that they have, if the township was keen on going forward with this and getting this information, we would be able to use the equipment and technology from the county, but we would have to pay for the actual staff to do this over the summer. So couple summer students going door to door to those businesses and looking for that information.
Any other questions?
Just given that it's a 2-year pilot project, that $25,000 just looks like it's being added to the 2025 budget. Is that an additional 25 for the 26 budget as well?
No, it would just, the County of Simcoe's pilot project is 2 years, but we would just be kind of going into that second year of their pilot project to fulfill all of the information for Ramara.
Any other questions? Yes. Oh,
I'm just,
sorry, Keith.
oh, no problem. I'm just wondering, do we have any idea what the cost of our staff will be, Ashley? To have an understanding of extra above and beyond the 25 it's going to cost us?
That's the 25 is just staff. Everything
Just
else would
staff.
be, yeah, everything else would be provided by the county. So we've already had those discussions with the county. So within our small little dev committee group, so that is both the city of Aurelia and the townships of Oromodonte, Severn, Ramara, and the Rama First Nation. We've had those discussions on kind of how could we accelerate this to help get this information both for the county as well as ourselves. And so the county's already kind of approved that we could use the technology and the equipment, but we would have to pay for that staff time to go out.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm good with it.
Okay. We present as. Oh, sorry. Tim.
Would it be cheaper in general, just mail them a survey package to fill out the businesses instead of going door to door and paying for employees, or just hiring just one to collect the data at the end instead of hiring 2 for the whole summer? I know I want to help get more jobs, but it's same money.
Absolutely. And if that is what the committee would like to do going forward, just having maybe one person and looking at other means to gather that information. The reason was for 2 was just for safety for door to door, so that there was someone else there when they did it. But if the idea is maybe to save a little bit more money, and looking at maybe the idea of just having one summer student completing the work and looking at alternative means other than door to door to gather the data, that could be a thought as well.
Jen.
Thank you. And I see Keith's hands up too. The data that's being collected is from businesses. We're not going to residential doors to collect this information. So as far as safety goes, I don't know that 2 is needed to go to businesses. Just, I don't know how many people will be chased off by businesses to go to unfriendly businesses. It's not a good business model if you're an unfriendly business. As far as safety goes, but I do hear Tim's concern, like the $25,000 is paying for time, but also their knowledge. If I have a cleaning lady come in and I need 4 hours to clean my house, and I have 2 people come for 2 hours or 1 person come for 4, to get the same value, it still is going to cost me 4 hours worth of cleaning. So the $25,000, if it's based on the amount of hours that we're going to need, whether it's 1 person doing it or 2 people doing it, I mean, it still has to pass their budget at council too. So there's that half as well, like so there's, I think it's a valuable project. I'm sure. I don't know if you want to weigh in because the way that you do your data collecting before for mail outs versus going and actually having touch points with the businesses and how receptive people are to filling out surveys when there's a person asking you the question versus being mailed something in the mail. I know Ashley can also speak to some of the surveys she's put out too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I can touch on 2 points there. So, the county actually does the 2-person conducting the survey too, because of the safety reasons. As you said, yeah, absolutely. They're going to actual business establishments, but we still proceed it that way. However, in my own personal experience, again, this is the first time the county's done a survey to this extent. And so we're seeing the numbers there. However, in my own experience, I've seen a lot more intake and a lot of people were more receptive to take the survey when they see that person in person. And so, of course, there is the option of still being able to send that survey to them through email, and they're able to take it there. And so that kind of feeds to both preferences to whomever it may be. However, when I've done it personally, a lot of people were more interested and willing to take the survey when there's an actual person in front of them, more or less making them do so. I mean, I'm not going to say they're required to take the survey, but it's nice to have that conversation, and it kind of shows of how much time it really doesn't take to give these answers as well. So that's my perception. I mean, up to you as well, Ashley, if you have any more thing to say.
No, that I was basically just going by the County of Simcoe's model just to keep that consistent throughout. And I know when we talked even in our little R committee that it would have been great as Sever and Oro and all of us joining together where they could have went to all the different municipalities and we all shared in the cost. But then sometimes different municipalities want different kind of questions, and there's some of the difficulties that can occur with that as well. But we're just keeping going with that model, but we're happy to be flexible where we need to be as well.
Keith?
Yeah, I think I understand what Tim's saying. I think I've been out knocking on doors and talking to people. It's sometimes more comfortable with the second person. You can bounce ideas off. I think we'll get a lot more done with 2. I'm okay with spending a little bit of extra for that. I think it'd be worth it.
Okay. Yeah, I think so too. As you were saying, there's nothing like talking to people these days face to face. We get a little zoomed out and phoned out, text out. So I think it's a great idea too. So do we put it up for the vote now? Is that okay? All in favor? Hey, item 4.6. It's the Economic Development 2025 budget, that we adopt the 2025 Economic Development budget as presented with the following amendments. Oh, did I miss one? Okay. Economic Development Strategy 2018 to 2022 and future, that we adopt AD 1924 to be received for information, and that staff complete a 2018 to 2022 economic development update to be presented at the November 28th, 2024 committee meeting, and that the Economic Development Committee approved the budget for $40,000 for the completion of an economic development strategy in 2025, and that Osterman strategy be engaged to undertake the development of the 2025 Economic Development Strategy AD 1824 PDF. Let's put that on the floor. Jen? Keith, second? Questions?
So this is just kind of going back. So our 2018 to 2023, I want to write 2022 every time I write it. But it's 2018 to 2023 strategy. So at the next meeting, kind of providing that holistic update of kind of where we sit with all the different initiatives that was planned for back in 2017 when the strategy was put together. And then if the committee, which then later approval from council, would like to move forward and updating the strategy, I reached out to Catherine Osterban. So I believe she worked with our 2018 strategy when she worked for Amafra. And she has been spearheading a lot of different strategies or different plans for different municipalities or even the county of Simcoe. So I thought it was warranted to put an actual quote and some information on kind of what that would look like for 2025, outlining what her strategy would look like and the benefits of having her company do that. So the only thing I wanted to be mindful of is with the engagement, because she's away for a couple of months, is that we could engage in January, but then there'd be that couple of months where she wouldn't be there to provide any engagement. So then the recommendation within that report, I think, was just to start later in that time, which I believe was June.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. So we put it to a vote. All in favor?
Did you have a question, Keith, or you're just voting? Just vote. Okay.
Was that a vote? Okay, all right, sorry about that. Okay, which leads us now to 4.6, right? Economic Development 2025 budget. That we adopt the 2025 economic development budget as presented with the following amendments.
And I can help with these, Bert. So it would be the addition of the 10,000 St. Andrews initiative, the 25,000 for the economic employment survey project, as well as the addition of $40,000, which would be for the completion of the economic development strategy in 2025.
Any comments, questions? In favor? Sorry? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe we did not. I'm sorry. My bad. Going back to the beginning, who wants to put it on the floor? Keith, second Jim, all in favor? Yeah. Which leads us to unfinished or new business. Anything from anyone?
This could also be a time where if the, and I usually will put it, if the CDC or the County of Simcoe just has like a little update of maybe different little things that are happening, we can add that to that part. So that way it's just for information. So we can add those details.
Would that be just a verbal update or do you expecting it?
Yep, that could be just a verbal update of
There is something prepared.
in the next month we have whatever events happening and we can add that to the agenda.
I can certainly give an update for the CDC. So we've got our Lunch and Learn event at Casino-Rama for October 10th. So tickets are live. It's gonna be a great event. We're looking at innovation, adaptive innovation, and we're gonna have a panel of local entrepreneurs who have created a product or a service, something new and exciting. So that'll be a great event. We've also got our community capacity building fund grants. So if any of our local businesses would like to apply for a grant, we've got $20,000 to grant. Applications for that close October 21st. And then our Pathways to Employment program has opened again. It's a youth wage subsidy program for youth with barriers to employment. So any youth who are looking for jobs, and also employers, there's 6 months opportunity for wage subsidy.
I can provide a few updates from the County Economic Development Office, if that's okay. The Economic Development Office is planning several workforce development initiatives to be delivered between 2024 and 2026. These include high school students and industry tours, and familiarization tours for international students, as well as employer training and awareness building campaign. With that, we also are still hard at work at doing the Pathways to Work in Simcoe County campaign. We are working with a graphic designer to lay that graphic out, and we're hoping to be able to distribute that by later this year. We are organizing the Manufacturers Forum for November 5th at the Nottawasaga Inn. We're doing this in partnership with the Excellence in Manufacturing Consortium, member municipalities, of course, and our regional manufacturers partnership. The save the date is out. We're hoping to get the registration out sooner rather than later. Fingers crossed for the end of the week. And I'll absolutely be able to share that with the committee, and looking forward to that event. It's been kind of my whole life, so I'm really excited for it. We are also hard at work at our agriculture and agri-food value work plan. That was approved back in June. And a few things highlighted on that is to update our commercial kitchen inventory. So if the committee knows of any local kitchens that should be added to that publication, please let Ashley and I know. I'd be happy to include them. And we're just looking for information of just contact details and if they're available to rent. We've also developed an agriculture website on our EDO site that has statistics highlights in regards to that sector, as well as local agriculture resources. And of course, the sector profile for Simcoe County. And we did deliver an Ask an Expert event back in July, and it was in partnership with the Intellectual Property of Ontario, and that is found on the County of Simcoe's YouTube channel if you missed it, and it's a great resources for local businesses as well. So anyone facing any challenges or wanting to learn more about intellectual property, be sure to share that link with them. And that's probably all the updates I'll give now. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. That's always interesting. I like the agriculture part too. Does anybody else like Waleed? No? Oh, I'm sorry. Jan.
Thank you. I don't know if this is something that we should be tasking staff or not, but I had an opportunity this past summer to attend Milton to go to a teeny tiny summit that was put on by OMAFRA. And it really talked a lot about building teeny tiny communities and different initiatives that other communities globally, because the keynote speaker is a global representative, very well-known global representative for the teeny tiny that I went to. And OMAFRA does have the capacity to hold teeny tiny summits. And while I was there, they were talking about, having host municipalities do that through their economic development teams. And probably not a thing that's going to be able to get completed for 2025 to organize something, but it would be really awesome if we could be a host municipality for one of these events, because there were people, when I was in that room, there were people that were traveling 5, 6, 7 hours. There were people who came from Ottawa to show up into their community center to go to this summit. And it was one of the better, I've been to a lot of great ones, but this is like top two that I've been probably best, but don't want to say that either. But it was a really, really valuable.
Okay.
For me, I had a lot of takeaways. Some things that I'm working on in the back end right now with some staff under my council role, and individually as well, that I can't wait to share with the committee when we're ready and it's architected. But I don't know if it's something that this committee would be interested into at least investigating what would all be
Okay.
involved.
So, when you say, communities, do you mean municipalities or?
Municipalities, communities,
Yeah.
they use the word communities, and it's municipalities are invited. The keynote speaker, his name was Peter Kenyon, and he's from Australia. And so they had lots of you've probably heard of him. Like, he's absolutely wonderful. And they talk about just different communities, and building communities,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
within the borders of municipalities, right? Like
Right.
I would be urged to say that Ramara would be viewed as a community, not just the community in Brecken or the community in Longford or different communities within Ramara, but how to, he gave examples, successful examples of other communities just with, that have done brand awareness or different social campaigns or different shop local campaigns, and how they had a unique spin. The one community he spoke about was a place called, Bulls, Bulls was the name of this community, was named Bulls, and their economic development team went out, and it was their initiative, and they went to all the business owners to kind of include the word bull in their branding. So incredible ice cream, or you know, just things like that, and really brought people talking about the community.
Yeah.
And having people ask the questions about these communities. And there was a lot of valuable information that came out of it. It was a day long, but it could have been longer, and I wouldn't have lost interest in being there. It was a really, really, really great opportunity. And I'm glad I decided to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, my travels this summer has taken me all across Central County. And it's amazing along that Horseshoe Valley Highway 26 corridor there. I've been in these townships before, but very sporadically. I've been through like Clearwater and Springwater and Clearview.
Yeah.
And all the towns along the way. And it's amazing. Like this, this is their work going, right? This is their and that, and all very, very interesting looking stuff that they'll each have their own
little niche.
community signature on it.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah.
It's something to
Is that
participate in. Sure.
Is that something, Ashley, that we would need to put a motion for staff to look into that? Okay, so I'd like to, through the chair, put that motion on the floor that staff look into the possibility of hosting a teeny tiny summit at some point in the future, at least look into what it would look like.
So seconder we need.
No, Keith hasn't said that.
Keith. All in favor? Community-minded people here. So is that, do we adjourn now? Recommendations that we adjourn at 12:43 until November 28th, 2024 at noon. All in favor? Oh, okay. All right, there you go.